Most men don't lose women because they're unattractive. They lose them because respect fades first, quietly, gradually, and most never notice the exact moment it starts happening. At the beginning, everything feels fine. You're relaxed. You're yourself. There's mutual interest. But then something shifts. You start explaining more than you used to. You reply faster than before. You try to fix small changes in her mood instead of letting them pass. Nothing dramatic happens. No argument. No clear mistake. Just a slow change in energy. Her replies get shorter. Her tone feels colder. She stops asking questions the way she did before. And the confusing part is this: you're putting in more effort than ever, yet the connection feels weaker. That's because attraction doesn't usually disappear due to one big failure. It disappears when respect erodes through small, emotional behaviors that feel harmless in the moment. Most men don't realize this because they think effort creates attraction. So when things feel uncertain, they do more. More reassurance, more availability, more emotional investment. But respect doesn't grow from trying harder. It grows from emotional stability, boundaries, and self-control. If you've ever felt someone slowly pull away without being able to explain why. If you've ever wondered how doing everything right still led to distance, this video is for you. Before we go any further, pause for a second and be honest with yourself. Have you been trying harder and somehow getting less respect in return? If the answer is yes, stay with me. Because once you understand what's really happening here, you can stop the pattern before it costs you any more ground. At the start, you're relaxed. You're not overthinking. You speak when you have something to say, not because you're worried about losing her attention. You're steady, grounded. You feel like yourself. Then, little by little, things begin to shift. You notice she takes longer to reply, so you start responding faster when she does. You explain your intentions more, just to make sure you're understood. You add extra messages, so conversations don't die. You apologize to keep the peace, even when you didn't actually do anything wrong. None of it feels extreme. In your mind, you're just being considerate, mature, emotionally available. But from the outside, something else is happening. Your calm presence is being replaced by emotional urgency. Your confidence is slowly turning into over-availability. And your self-respect is being traded for reassurance. That's when her tone starts to change. She replies, but without warmth. She engages, but without curiosity. She pulls back just enough for you to feel it, but not enough to confront. And that's what makes it confusing. You're not being rude. You're not ignoring her. You're actually doing more than before. Yet somehow, you feel like you're losing ground. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men never hear. Respect doesn't disappear because of one bad moment. It fades through small, repeated behaviors that signal uncertainty, emotional dependence, and a lack of boundaries. Each time you over-explain instead of standing firm, a little respect slips away. Each time you chase clarity instead of staying centered, a little respect slips away. Each time you apologize just to keep connection, a little respect slips away. And the worst part is that this erosion is almost invisible while it's happening. There's no argument, no clear rejection, no moment you can point to and say, that's when everything changed. You only notice it once the dynamic feels off, when she's less invested, less responsive, and less respectful than she was at the beginning. By then, most men think the solution is to try even harder. But that instinct is exactly what accelerates the loss. Because respect isn't built by effort alone. It's built by emotional control, self-respect, and the ability to remain grounded when things feel uncertain. And if you don't recognize this early, the pattern repeats, quietly, predictably, and always at your expense. Stoic philosophy explains this with brutal clarity, and it doesn't sugarcoat the truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the moment you depend on external approval, you give away your power. Not gradually, immediately. Because the second your emotional state depends on how someone else responds, you are no longer in control. Modern psychology reaches the same conclusion from a different angle. Respect is not built on how much effort you put in. It's not built on how caring, available, or accommodating you are. Respect is built on emotional self-control, clear boundaries, and inner stability, especially when things feel uncertain. When those qualities weaken, respect doesn't vanish all at once. It leaks out through patterns. Here are the 9 most common ones, and how Stoic discipline corrects each. 1. Emotional reactivity. When you react immediately to everything, tone changes, delays, minor tension, you signal that your emotional state is easily shaken. That reads as instability, even if your intentions are good. Stoic fix: pause, breathe, respond slowly and deliberately. Calm behavior communicates strength far more than emotional expression ever will. 2. Over-explaining. The more you justify yourself, the more it looks like you're asking for permission to exist as you are. Explanations often come from anxiety, not clarity. Stoic fix: say less. State your position once, clearly. Let your actions reinforce it instead of trying to convince someone verbally. 3. Neediness for validation. When you seek reassurance, agreement, or constant affirmation, you hand over the power dynamic. Approval seeking places the other person above you emotionally. Stoic fix: validate yourself first. Act as if approval is optional, not necessary. Detach from outcomes you don't control. 4. Weak boundaries. Tolerating behavior that bothers you, sarcasm, disrespect, inconsistency, silently trains others to continue it. Silence without self-respect is not patience. Stoic fix: enforce boundaries calmly and without emotion. No lectures, no anger, just clear consequences through behavior. 5. Fear of silence. Many men rush to fill silence because they fear losing connection. But constant engagement removes mystery and presence. Stoic fix: get comfortable with silence. Silence communicates confidence, self-containment, and emotional independence. 6. Over-apologizing. Apologizing when you're not at fault slowly erodes how you're perceived. It signals guilt where none exists. Stoic fix: apologize only when you've actually done something wrong. Otherwise, stand neutral and grounded. 7. Inconsistent behavior. Hot and cold behavior confuses people emotionally. It creates fatigue instead of attraction, and signals a lack of inner direction. Stoic fix: be steady. Predictability in character builds trust, safety, and long-term respect. 8. Chasing after withdrawal. When someone pulls back and you chase, you reverse the emotional hierarchy. Pursuit in response to distance lowers perceived value. Stoic fix: pull inward instead. Focus on your life, your purpose, your stability. Let distance reveal information instead of triggering pursuit. 9. Losing self-respect. This is the core issue beneath all the others. When you compromise your standards to maintain connection, respect collapses from the inside out. As Epictetus taught, control what is yours, your actions, your discipline, your character, and release what is not, including approval. Here's the key thing most men miss. These behaviors don't come from weakness. They come from emotional attachment without emotional control. And once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it immediately. Before we move on, pause and reflect for a moment. Which one of these hit you the hardest? That answer matters, because that's where your leverage is. That's where respect starts coming back the moment you change your behavior. Here's how you apply this immediately, not in theory, not someday, but the next time you feel that familiar pull to overreact. Step 1. Slow everything down. Slow your texts. You don't need to respond the second your phone lights up. Slow your reactions. Not every shift in tone needs a response. Slow your explanations. You don't owe long justifications for your choices, feelings, or boundaries. Speed is emotional. Slowness is control. When you move too fast, you signal urgency. When you slow down, you signal stability. And stability is what people instinctively respect. Step 2. Remove emotional urgency. Most mistakes happen when you feel like something must be fixed right now. The silence, the distance, the uncertainty. But nothing is actually urgent when you respect yourself. You don't need immediate clarity. You don't need immediate reassurance. You don't need immediate resolution. Urgency puts the other person in control of your emotional state. Removing urgency puts that control back in your hands. This doesn't mean you become distant or cold. It means you stop letting anxiety dictate your behavior. Step 3. Lead with calm restraint. This is where most men misunderstand Stoicism. Calm restraint is not emotional shutdown. It's not manipulation. And it's definitely not pretending you don't care. It's choosing your response instead of being dragged into reaction. You speak when there's something worth saying. You act when action is needed. And you remain grounded when things feel uncertain. That grounded presence is felt immediately, even if nothing is said. Here's what changes when you live this way. You stop chasing respect. You stop managing impressions. You stop negotiating your worth through effort. And something subtle happens. People begin to adjust to you. The dynamic stabilizes. The emotional tension dissolves. Not because you demanded respect, but because your behavior made it clear that you already had self-respect. You become steady instead of reactive, present instead of needy, centered instead of chaotic. That's not charisma. That's not strategy. That is emotional discipline. That is Stoic power in real life. If this changed how you see attraction, respect, or emotional control, subscribe to Daily Stoic Mindset. This channel isn't about tricks, scripts, or manipulation. It's about developing emotional mastery, calm authority, and inner peace that carries into every area of life. Like the video if this resonated with you. Comment Stoic if you're choosing control over emotion, even when it's uncomfortable. And remember this, respect doesn't start when someone else gives it to you. It starts the moment you stop begging for it, and start living like you don't need permission to stand grounded in who you are.